Hello, everybody. Good day. I think we're live now. Dante here, and we'll- we're going to begin the weekly live stream channeling session in a moment. Sure. So, as many of you have probably seen, the live stream has gone through a bit of a shift where the donation to join is required for all participants, and this allows for a more equitable way of doing things, as it after a while feels really draining when some people come repeatedly and don't really support the transmission in a way. So this is the way that it's exciting for me to approach it now. And if you would like to join, you can send the donation of $27 or $13, depending on which way you choose. And the details are included in the email that goes out on the email list and the post that is on the community tab. And we're also deciding now which day we're going to be doing the
Hola,
session.
¿quién es?
Hold on. So those who are in the Zoom, make sure you're muted when you're not talking, because sometimes the background sound comes in. So lost my train of thought. But yeah, if you like to join, that's the way to do so. And it also allows for those who do support the transmissions to get more time and go deeper in these sessions. And I really appreciate it. And as well, you can check out DanteStarshine.com for all the information on the channeling sessions I offer and the channeling course that is enrolling and likely to begin sometime this spring. Really excited to get that going, as it's an amazing opportunity for people to tune into their own guides and tune into their intuitive abilities in a deeper way, putting them to practice in a group of students and having that safe container to gain the experiences. Like any sort of gift or talent or modality, we need to gain a lot of experience, and that's the way that we grow the most, so that we might be able to share that with the world and turn it into our career or a hobby or anything of that nature. So it's not just learning to channel, it's learning how to be in an intuitive flow in your life and how to do different types of intuitive readings for others. And it's a healing initiation to go into your own uh, spiritual being, into your own shadow, and transform what needs to be seen and looked at and integrated so that you can be the clearest vessel for this source energy in the world. And yes, if you want updates about this, check out the email list that you can sign up for on DanteStarshine.com, and do let us know what day is best for you to have these transmissions, as feels like moving away from that Wednesday. We're doing the first Saturday, as somebody suggested that hosting them on the weekends would be a lot easier for many people who are working during the day, and I can totally understand that. So give us a sense of what day would be good. There's a poll on the community tab where you can vote and share your opinion, and also feel free to shoot me an email with what you think would be best and any of your feedback. All right, so that's all for now, and thanks for watching and tuning in. And as well, so we still take the questions from YouTube, and if you want your question to be included, you can type your question out and we may or may not include it. We're being more selective with the YouTube questions because sometimes there's very random questions or personal interests that get thrown into the mix. And we're doing for the text-based questions now only the sorts of questions that are really going to be beneficial for all the viewers and for the collective. So if you have a question that's collectively oriented, then feel free to type it out. But if you have a very personal question, we ask that you join the stream live to ask that question. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the other side. Hello, and we say a fantastic day to you at this moment of your time. We are the Pleiadian Council, and we thank you very much for tuning into this transmission, as it is of great support for your planet in its ascension process, and it is a gift to us to be able to experience your world and co-create with you in this way. So we want to begin by saying that your world is indeed on very exciting timelines in 2024. And right now you are seeing many things stirred to the surface. We will speak about it as we go later into the transmission, though we want to begin with a reminder that in order for things to heal, for things to integrate, for things to transform, you have to bring to the surface the patterns psychologically, both on a personal and a collective level, that need to be healed in order for the system to rewire itself. And this rewiring process is well underway, though you will be experiencing this continual level of more and more shadow aspects of your society surfacing. And this is why this transmission today is particularly important. We call it the vortex of transmutation. A vortex is a self-perpetuating nexus that pulls in energies and cycles them, and it recycles them as well. And this vortex of transmutation we're speaking of is something that you could view the formula through. It's a new way of seeing this formula that helps you to step into it in a clearer and more powerful way. And again, the formula is to act on your own highest passion, or excitement, or enthusiasm, or love, or joy. All of these words suit to describe this powerful energy that comes from your heart center and propels you forward in a certain direction, guiding you towards specific actions and points of focus. The next step is to do it to the best of your ability, using all of your intelligence and all of your resources to do it the best you can. This is simply put. Then you have zero insistence on any particular outcome, allowing yourself to be open to the results, to work with them in a particular way, seeing the positive uses of potential negative outcomes, understanding that reality itself is ultimately neutral and you are the ones who create the meaning. And so, completely it is. Follow your highest excitement to the best of your ability with zero insistence on any particular outcome. And this ought to be seamless. This is why we call it a vortex. As soon as you complete the last step, you begin the first step again. All of these steps are happening simultaneously and perpetually. And this perpetual motion of the formula makes it a sort of internal perpetual motion device, constantly propelling you forward into higher and higher frequencies and constantly transmuting the negative emotions, ideas, and experiences that happen as you move the journey. So as soon as you step back into that frequency of love, excitement, enthusiasm, this transmutation instantly begins to take place. As this frequency of excitement, passion, joy, love is the core frequency of Source. And Source contains all opposites and brings them back to unity. Source is a non-dualistic energy. And you, as spiritual beings, have this non-dualistic nature as your innermost essence while you experience the dualistic world of good and bad and pleasure and pain and so on and so forth. And as you experience any one of these polarities, when you return to your very heart of hearts and remember this frequency of enthusiasm and passion, those energies can come into balance in you and restore a timeless sense of wonder and bliss. This ought to be something that you experience every single day. And the more frequently you can return to this state, the more powerfully your life will transform and you will rebound from the quote unquote negative experiences that come up so that you can stay in that perpetual motion of raising your vibration. So you accentuate this vortex when you return to enthusiasm right away. When you don't get the outcome you prefer and you stay stuck in a state of refusal to act or refusal to accept, you deaden your vibration. So the important thing to do is to step immediately into an exciting action. And remember, we say so many words to describe this energy because some of you hear excitement and you think it has to be some intense movement of energy, something very active. But you can be excited about taking a nap, you can be excited about taking a walk or sitting in meditation or doing any such energy practice. And it's really in this inward phase where you can get the most clear sense of this vortex of transmutation. You can do this by tuning in to your own heart center. And we don't mean your physical heart when we say heart center, nor do we mean the heart chakra. We mean the literal center of your being in the center of your chest. This is the place where that frequency of passion originates. And this frequency of passion is the signal from your higher self guiding you to attune to Source. Source itself is this energy. And when you tune your attention into your heart center, you attune to this energy. All that is required is for your attention to go there. And many of you will find that if you place your attention there for a prolonged period of time, you might start to feel discomfort or other emotions surface. And if you remain simply present in your heart center while greeting and allowing all of the experiences that arise to take place, you will find that your heart center activates and opens and has the power to transmute those energies. In this process, it's very helpful to remember the moments that you felt the most heart open, the moments that you felt the most enthusiastic, the moments where you felt the most bliss. And long for this bliss while remembering that this is who you are. Have a sense of devotion and love towards this energy. And as you stay focused on it and remembering that this energy of bliss is the core of all of your motivations, whether you recognize it or not, you can allow yourself to bring this timeless energy into the now moment. As you do this, the energy can encompass your being. It can flow through your entire being. Your whole body will be experienced as being made up of light initially. And eventually, this light will saturate you in such a way that you will experience your entire being as being transparent and empty and formless. Yet, the more you deepen and feel yourself somehow fade away, the more that you will raise into these higher states of bliss. And the more that this energy will permeate every level of your being and become a way that you know yourself as the source. This is the ultimate purpose of why you have come here. And this is the result that comes from continuing to follow this formula. And we encourage you not only to live that formula, but to create the time to choose that introspective witnessing practice of letting your heart center guide you, letting your heart center inform you that this enthusiasm is always there. And the more powerful you connect with this deep core energy of your heart's passion, the easier it will be to constantly transmute the experiences that arise along the journey. The idea is not that you are constantly positive, because that is impossible for a human being to not ever experience a negative emotion or a negative response. Remember, as we've shared many times before, there's a wisdom and an intelligence in negative emotions as well that needs to be honored. The idea is that you have a non-judging attitude towards the positive and the negative frequencies, and that as soon as you experience either polarity, you return to the heart center that is the center of this power of transmutation. You stay in the vortex of transmutation that pulls in positive and negative frequencies and returns them into this non-dual state of total bliss, total love, total remembrance of the source of your true nature. This will allow both your own personal evolution and journey to accelerate, and it will also contribute towards the evolution and betterment of your whole world, bringing you to a more multidimensional planet that is more positively oriented and transmutes the collective density. You are all here for this process, so we hope you find enthusiasm for it and don't allow for the negativity of your planet to slow you down in your own path, your highest excitement. We thank you for allowing this transmission to be shared and take place at this moment of your time, and we ask, in which ways can we be of assistance to you with your questions, inquiries, and musings as you wish.
Hi, Pleiadians. I have a couple of pre-written questions, if that's okay to start out with.
All right, sure.
Okay, the first question is, as a parent, sometimes I'm shocked by the emotional cruelty of other parents. Some are ready to criticize and belittle over petty things and then explode for situations where I would gently encourage my own child to choose a better way. And also, some long married couples seem triggered by the tiniest details to criticize and belittle the other. So the family structure today sometimes seems to have become stagnant and poisonous. Can you comment on this?
Yes. First of all, we want to remind you of that which you are responsible for. And there is very much suffering in your world. And there are times in which you can take actions to help others. And there are times in which all you can do is send love and blessings to others and know that even while this feels very subtle, it does have an effect. Indeed, it is true that many are enacting negativity onto others. And in general, this scolding energy, whether it's to children or between partners, is stemming from a lack of self-love and self-respect. And you can do all sorts of different things to create self-love by telling yourself, I love myself, and changing the stories in your mind. And this is effective to an extent, but what is more effective is this deep level of self-remembrance, remembering source, remembering source's unconditional love, and this is your essential nature. And when you tune into your heart of hearts and experience that unconditional love that is your very essence, you will recognize that all of your critical thoughts towards yourself are fruitless and groundless. They have no ground in reality because the ultimate reality is source, and that is essentially you. And this source is absolutely and entirely unconditionally loving of anything and everything you could ever possibly be. And when you witness negativity around you and you can hold this energy yourself, at a vibrational level, you are impacting others and you are allowing for transmutation to take place without those around you even knowing that it's happening. So if you feel disturbed by negativity around you, tune into that vortex of transmutation in your own heart. Allow that energy of passion and love within you to hold those energies, and you will find that something shifts. And of course, if you can console others and share this energy with them after they have had such a challenging experience, it will be very helpful. But if it is not possible for you to do so, you don't need to fret about it. Trust that everybody has a connection to source within themselves. And at some point or another, everyone will return into that essence of source.
Wow, very beautiful. There's another question where you probably have covered a lot of it. I'm just going to ask it anyway, read it out, so see if there's anything you can add to it. And the question is, if we spot any type of weakness or mistakes or bad habits in other people, can you talk about the value or the traps of either pointing it out to people or trying to help them directly or covertly, or not to do anything at all?
Well, this is a nuanced experience. And first we'll say, if it is having a direct impact on you, then there is grounds to share with others that their own negativity or blind spots are affecting others in a negative way. And otherwise, we would say, ask permission first. Because when you ask permission to give feedback to others, it will communicate to them at a deeper level that your assessment is well intended and is there to help them. As unasked for advice, especially when pointing towards a shadow, can really come across as hurtful and unhelpful if it is not delivered with consent and understanding. So if you meet either of those criteria, then yes, it's helpful to speak with others about what they could do better. And make sure that it's communicated in that way, that it is not essentially something wrong with them, but there are ways that they can approach things in a better way. There are ways that they can do things that will help them meet their goals and have a better experience. And when you communicate in ways that make this clear, it will help other people really receive this advice. You can say things like, if you want to have a better experience, or if you want to reach this goal, or if you want to feel this way, then this might be something you'd like to consider. Approaching it lightly in this way will help people really consider it, rather than telling people things like, you have done this wrong. I'm noticing this pattern that you constantly fail in this way. There is something blatantly wrong with you. When people hear things of this nature, it triggers their own defense mechanisms that instantly block them from the power of transformation and change and keep them in a state of stagnancy. So if you want to help people, make sure that you're doing it in a healthy way.
Such a beautiful answer. Thank you so much.
Yes.
One more question or comment, and then we'll open it up to the Zoom. The question and comment is, the planet looks really intense right now with what's going on with the environment and so much volatile wars and cruelty. I'd love to know what are your thoughts about what's going on currently with this.
As we said in the beginning, your world is in a process of exposing the underlying patterns that have been there for some time. And the core of this is one of egoism, you could say, your egocentricity. It's different than feeling good about oneself and having an ego. It's the idea that the self is more important than the whole. It's the idea that reality itself is not interconnected, and therefore I, as the individual, have to impose my will on reality so that I can be the best or have the best experience. And this deep level of disconnection from the greater whole of reality and all of the others in it is the core of all of your problems. It is why people feel that they have the right to exploit the environment and to exploit other human beings and to bomb them and so on and so forth. So know that when you are creating a deeper level of awareness of interconnection, you are contributing to the betterment of your world. But this doesn't have to be a merely personal experience. It also implies that in an interconnected world, your voice and your opinion about the big issues actually matters far more than many of you realize. So to be peaceful and loving does not mean to be what is the word we're looking for? Complacent. It does not mean to be uh, lazy and focus only on yourself. That attitude of complacency is part of the problem. And so it is important to constantly raise awareness about what's taking place in your world and think about the billionaires and think about the ecocide and think about the inequality in all that happens. And by raising awareness and contributing to creating a reality in which most people are very willing to consider and to act against these levels of egocentrism manifesting in all of these imbalances of power, then your world will be far closer to this bigger transformation. And you will also become aware of the microcosmic ways in which the same power struggles are playing out on local levels. And then you can be active in transforming those situations as well.
Very cool. So let's see if anybody on Zoom has some questions.
I have a question, or a topic rather, that I was wondering if you could speak on.
You have what?
Oh, I have not so much a question, but more of a topic that I was wondering if you could speak on.
Oh, yes, yes.
I'm interested in and first, hi. But I'm interested in hearing your perspective on ancestral healing and speaking to that as a concept, as well as from your all's perspective, the efficacy of it, the importance or not, or just I would like to hear insights about that from your perspective.
So your genes contain the information from your ancestors' experiences. Your genetic code is very much alive. And it is not just the aspects of health and appearance that are shared through the inheritance. It is also emotions, beliefs, and the sorts of vibrational energies associated with different experiences and phenomena. So the accident that your grandmother got into at 26 will affect your mother and will affect you at that same age. There's a certain sequencing that plays out in which every experience that you have creates a sort of change in your genetic code that ripples through generations. And you don't need to be hyper aware of this, but simply understand that you are transmuting through your lived experiences that those ancestors have had. You can work with these ancestors in meditative or hypnotic sorts of states, or even in your dreams, and help them relieve some of these memories and find a happier and more integrated state. Sometimes this happens automatically. And so it isn't to say you have to force this, because by healing yourself, it will automatically happen that your ancestors heal as well. For example, after doing many such healing practices recently, the channel had a dream where he was spending time with his grandmother, and she had relieved herself of many negative and judgmental beliefs. And it was surprising for the channel when he woke up, because he would not have considered his grandmother to be so open-minded and so peaceful. Yet there it had happened because automatically there was a transmutation taking place through the channel's own process. And you can also see that sometimes it happens that as you make a change in your own inherited patterns, that it also ripples back towards your living relatives. As you make a big change and perhaps let go of some layers and open to a state of forgiveness for your parents, you will see not just a change in your relationship, but a change within your parents. But sometimes specific protocols and permission slips, like family constellations, like plant medicine work, like many such unique modalities that have been channeled and intuited in your world, can act as catalysts to specifically reflect to you certain ancestral or familial dynamics that can be clear.
Thank you so much. That makes a lot of sense to me. And I think a follow-up question I would like to ask is, or just mixed with some observations, is this same concept applied to adoption? Because I'm adopted and I have had a rough upbringing with my adopted parents. And as I have been doing more and more work on myself, I have noticed as of late, I even said to a couple of my friends that I feel like I stepped into a different timeline, because I got on the phone with who I considered to be my biggest critic, which is one of my parents. And from the moment that they entered the video chat that I was having with another of my parents, they were just the most validating presence and person that I have experienced. And like, to hear these things from this person, just these different validations, was so healing for like my whole self and my childhood self as well. And so I don't know, I guess, just what are your opinions on like how this works when you're dealing with not blood relatives, but you still have this familial link? Like, does it ripple out? I do know for a fact my adoptive father and mother and I had an adoption situation in a previous lifetime too, where some of the roles were different, but that played out in other times as well. So there is some sort of link, but I'm just curious what all of your thoughts are on that same concept applied to something like adoption.
As parents teach children beliefs, either explicitly or implicitly, they start to share a connection to the same consciousness entity that is a belief system. And thus, when beliefs in deep levels of judgment and criticism are imprinted, they become a shared reality, in that your investment in such beliefs is mirrored by their investment in such beliefs, and vice versa. So it sometimes happens that as you go through such a deep transformation yourself and let go of these limiting and judging beliefs, that they in turn do the same. And this is what happened in this case, that you worked so closely with your internalized parental energies that were connected with this way that you judged yourself, and you were so willing to open yourself to that level of unconditional love, that this energy rippled out and created a change in their consciousness as well.
Thank you so much for explaining that. Do you think that a person like myself, that if I engage in ancestral healing work, which it is calling to me, it's come up numerous times as of late in the past few months for me, that this could ripple out, of course, to my own ancestry line, but to these other lines as well? Or is that not the case?
As you are deeply connected with your family, any change that takes place within you is also going to affect them. It won't have the same as deep and profound reaching effect as it might have if through a biological linking, but it will undoubtedly affect them powerfully.
Thank
and it
you.
will also reflect to you many hidden aspects of yourself and memories.
Thank you so much. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. Thanks to you as well. Something more?
For the moment, no, but if I think of anything else, surely.
Hello, Pleiadian Council.
Hello, welcome.
Well, thank you so much for this transmission. So grateful. I have some questions, kind of riffing off of the last set of questions. So as far as the experiences that could possibly, that have the potential to change our coding or our ancestral coding, as you mentioned, is that also a possibility with other types of connections, such as what is considered twin flames, or can you also explain and clarify what you feel are twin flames? I know you have spoken about that before, but I want to get some clarity for myself. If you could please speak to that.
Yes. So we'll talk about this in understanding of a soulmate relationship as well, as what we consider soulmates is a form of connection that is happening when two souls are both part of the same oversoul or soul group, and they reach a clear level of self-realization, you could say, of awakening to that source self, in which they more completely individuate, and they understand that the love that they are experiencing is an internal energy that becomes mirrored back and forth to the other soul. They understand that they are not, in a sense, bound to each other. The twin flame is a phenomena that takes place when both souls are under the assumption that they are one soul experiencing itself in separate bodies that is sometimes articulated in a different way, though this idea is essentially suggesting that these two souls are inseparable, and it creates a state of codependency in the physical realm, and it creates a sense of energetic entanglement in a at an energetic level, in which everything that one soul experiences affects the other soul because of the deep level of bondedness. So, in terms of that initial part of the question, in either such dynamic, when there is a close relationship between two souls, yes, there will be an effect that as you change, transform, and release certain belief systems, it will inevitably affect the others that you're engaged with. And sometimes they will be willing to match and the change that you have created, and other times they will attempt to change you back and, in a sense, revert you to the person you once were, as they are unwilling to change in a way that they could actually meet the new version of you.
Aha, okay. So then to that, how does one approach that? It feels like an impasse then for one to make some decisions about what then to happen. Is this relationship, might it connect and reconnect and disconnect at various times?
It's possible that a relationship evolves through many different levels of disconnection and reconnection. In a sense, all of your relationships go through these phases as you take space away from each other. Though sometimes, even despite physical space or lack of communication, there's still a deep level of connection and energy being shared and exchanged between souls that are in such a relationship.
Yes, okay, so this makes so much sense to me, and I feel like this is resonating very much with me. So what then, is there a purpose to this type of relationship as far as, I don't know, the ascension of the collective? Is there a collective purpose or goal that these types of relationships might be here for?
Relationship?
So when you talked about these deep relationships that could be a twin flame,
yes,
kind of relationship, is that serving a certain purpose just for our own personal growth, or is there some purpose that it could serve, I don't know, for the collective or for others, if that makes sense?
The twin flame relationship that is very enmeshed is popular in your world because so many individuals do not feel as deeply their own connection to source on their own, and so they seek the source connection through their partner.
Okay. So essentially, is this a somewhat, quote unquote, unhealthy kind of codependency?
It's limited, but there are aspects of it that will cause pain, but calling it unhealthy denies the validity of the process. As it's sort of like a learning curve. phase of the journey that each soul has their own soul agreements to go through and to wake up from. And a twin flame sort of relationship can become a soulmate sort of relationship. It isn't as if it isn't as if it's not possible for the lessons to be learned within a relationship and for the dynamic within the relationship to change. There isn't anything wrong with this style of relating, but we will describe some of the limitations. And again, the essential nature of source is love. And all of the love that you experience is source. You experience this love when you see a beautiful sunset. You experience it when you do a beautiful practice of running or yoga or swimming, and you feel your body very alive. You experience it through a fun night out with your friends dancing or conversing, and you experience it with the most passionate moments of love with another human. And of all of these experiences, this is perhaps the most profound and intense of an experience that many of you have. And so for the majority of people in the world, love with another human is the closest they will experience source. And for this reason, you cling to one another, but it creates an unhealthy tendency within the relationship and within each individual to feel as if they are disconnected from source. They have connection and agreement and total alignment with the other person. The natural nature of cycles of life is that sometimes you agree, sometimes you don't.
Dante, we lost your audio a little bit. Yeah.
Better now?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
All right. So again, the challenge is that if you don't feel that connection source without the connection, agreement, and alignment with the other person that you love, you are essentially blocking your source connection. As the natural nature of life is that it is not always time to be together, and there are times when you will disagree, and there are times when you will need to be alone, and there will be times in which there is dissonance. But if that energy causes you to feel as if you're not connected with source and that love cannot be present, then you are limiting yourself in a way that's blocking the full blossoming of your potential. And so the transformation is in recognizing that the love you're experiencing is not an energy that comes from the other person. And this is perhaps the easiest way to experience this, is meditate upon and reflect upon all of the experiences of love that you had. When you watched the beautiful sunset, did the love come into you from the sun, or did your heart open from within? When you enjoyed the night out with your friends, did your friends implant the love within you, or did the love blossom from within your own heart? When you experience deep love with your romantic partner or partners, did that energy come from them and into you, or did you experience this energy within your own heart? Reflecting on many experiences in this way will come to bring you to remember absolutely that love is an inner experience of source. And if you can remember that inner experience of source, Source will never leave you. If you know that Source is who you're loving whenever you're making love, you will be indifferent to the comings and goings, the alignment and the dissonance, and all of the polarity that is involved with these intimate relatings with other human beings. You will come to individuate more in a way that creates both more autonomy for yourself, but more harmony within the relationship, because you will come to understand that Source is who you're loving, and your partner is just a mirror for Source. This will transform a twin flame relationship into a soulmate relationship.
Thank you so much. This is so profound, and I really appreciate your insights. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks to you as well.
Yeah, I gotta say the same thing. That was unbelievable. So I have a couple of questions from YouTube and from Zoom.
Yes.
One is if you can comment on the difference, or if there is any difference between gratitude and appreciation, and if one is better than the other, or what the difference is in terms of vibration.
Consider that they are different words. They're not really different energies. Appreciation and gratitude are ultimately one and the same, but appreciation can describe energies that are a bit lower on the spectrum. So if you didn't fully enjoy a meal, but there were some aspects of it that you liked, and you're glad that you're not hungry anymore, you can feel that sense of appreciation for it. That energy is the same as gratitude, it simply isn't as extreme. If you had an amazing experience and your heart is open and beaming with love, you will undoubtedly say that you're very grateful. Though it's, in a sense, simply an intense and exaggerated version of appreciation. So consider that there are different levels on the spectrum, and that will help you if you ever struggle to feel grateful. And many people find themselves in a trap that they feel as if they're supposed to be grateful all the time, but they struggle to get out of challenging moments of frustration. So start with appreciation and recognize that appreciation is simply gratitude light. If you're having a bad day, you can appreciate the tree is very nice and beautiful. There's amazing flowers in the garden. You can make yourself a nice snack and take a hot bath. You can appreciate that, and it will lead to expanding your gratitude. You can appreciate the subtle details among the noise. And if you can focus on the things that you appreciate, eventually it will shift into gratitude.
Okay, thank you. And another question is, when we meet new people, is it best to see them as their ideal self from the get-go, or maybe even compliment them on positive things we're not sure of yet? Or is it to see them as sort of a blank canvas?
Engage with them as if they are their highest self, but in your eternal experience, open yourself to all of them. Engage with them, complimenting their positive qualities that you see and pointing them towards their highest expression. But if something negative arises, don't deny it. It's a bit of both. You want to be very neutral in your observations while acting in a way that brings out the positive and that potential within them. But if you find yourself very attracted to somebody and projecting only positive things onto them, that is a moment you want to catch yourself. That is a moment you want to take a step back and into your internal experience to neutrally observe them.
Okay, very cool. And another question from YouTube. Hi, Pleiadians. How would you define OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder? What is the root cause of it, and how can we potentially heal from it?
OCD is a chronic insistence on outcomes. So it's based upon belief systems that things need to be a certain way in order for me to accept them. And this is something that is possible to transform. And the basis of this is the ability to observe discomfort and greet discomfort in a neutral way. You have to be able to create a disconnection between the discomfort that is aroused and the circumstance that triggers it. This discomfort is the result of your belief about the circumstance and not the circumstance itself. What happens in OCD is a complete and total disconnection from the process of emotional expression. People with this experience believe in such a deep and profound way that the dishes not being stacked in the way that they want them to be stacked is absolutely the cause of their distress, when it's not at all that way. It's a belief system that the dishes must be stacked this way. And beneath all of these belief systems is a deep level of fear of loss of control. And the paradoxical best way to resolve the fear of loss of control is the reminder that you're absolutely not in control. If there was a supply chain shortage, you would struggle to feed yourself. If a solar flare knocked out your electricity, your society would be absolutely different and you wouldn't be able to control it. You can't stop the snow, you can't stop the rain, you can't stop an earthquake. Your life is influenced by many forces outside of you, and there's nothing you can do to stop them. Sitting with this at an existential level and accepting it and cultivating a deeper level of trust for the source that has protected you this far, and the source that is manifested as the people who have helped you out of challenging circumstances again and again, will allow you to accept this fundamental reality that you're not completely in control. And it will point you back to the remembrance that there's some things that you are in control of. And whether or not you want to believe it, you can take control over your own mind. And this is the most empowering thing that any of you can do. It requires that you slow down and create space for cultivating neutrality and love. Yes.
So beautiful. Really love your answers. One more question from YouTube is I embrace the Pleiadian Council's teachings when I integrate negative definitions of traumas about myself or allow myself to feel repressed emotions. I feel a certain cathartic sobbing in my body. What are these?
We lost the connection. We're not sure if it is our connection or if it is the Michael's connection.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you finish the question again?
Yes, I'll read it again. The question is, I embrace your teachings And when I integrate negative definitions of trauma about myself or allow myself to feel repressed emotions, I feel a certain cathartic sobbing in my body. Any comments on what these are?
This is an energetic release. This is the bound up emotions that are leaving the body and being transformed back into love. Sometimes these releases of energy are the awe and the wonder of the power of love and the power of source to transform. Sometimes these energies are an echo of the past traumas or negative emotions that need to be transformed and released, and simply allowing yourself to be with them and in a sense enjoy them will accelerate the process. There is a great power of love in tears and sobs, and anytime you find yourself crying, it can eventually lead to crying tears of love, weeping tears of joy, even if it starts out as tears of sadness, as you allow this experience to take place.
Okay, great. And I have a question myself that came up today, is that one of the other questions had the word finally in it. And so I'm curious to what your read is on the energy behind using the word finally. Because to me, it seems like that has something to do with something negative has been overcome, and there might be a potential risk of sort of re-engaging with the negativity. And a little bit with the other question about gratitude and appreciation, I had sort of the idea that often gratitude could be gratitude for having overcome something negative, and then there could be a risk of engaging with that negativity versus appreciation being more clear. Can you comment on this?
Well, every moment is final in a way. Every breath you take is a unique breath, and as you let it go, you'll never breathe that same breath again. Every time you eat a piece of cake, that piece of cake is gone forever. It becomes energy within you. So some things are final in light ways or even in more serious ways. Finality is an experience that you can have. But we understand what you mean when you say to not be so sure when you say you're finally done with this pattern and this experience, because there are many subtle ways that emotions and belief systems will repeat. It is like you are peeling back layers of an onion, and every time you go a little bit deeper, you meet a pattern that presented itself in a more extreme way, in a lighter way. But you can say, finally, I'm done with this layer. And there's no trouble in saying this, because it is actually very good to remind yourself that each time you deal with the same demon inside of yourself again, then you are dealing with a deeper layer. You're not dealing with the same problem. You're dealing with the deeper layer that is not as intense and is actually easier to work with. If you consider that I'm dealing with the exact same thing again, you might tell yourself a story that makes it seem as if the problem was as drastic and horrible as it was the very first time. But generally speaking, the problem gets softer over time. And every time you approach it again, you have more wisdom so that you can deal with it in a smoother way and it's a quicker way than you dealt with it before. And as for having gratitude that you relieve yourself from something, again, it doesn't really matter if it's gratitude or appreciation. They are different shades of the same energy. Though, yes, you're correct in wanting to be clear that you've just peeled back a layer. You may not be completely done with it. However, do be grateful that you'll never deal with that same layer again.
So cool. Thank you so much. I believe we have another question from Zoom.
Hi, I have another question, if I may. Back to your message in the beginning about living in our heart and what's passionate to us. So if I may ask, I have an opportunity of something I'm very passionate about, of a trip to Egypt. But what's stopping me is the pragmatic of the 3D and financials. And I'm just curious if you have any ways of me deciphering that or discerning that, and or if there might be any messages, because I have felt a very long, for many years, a calling to Egypt. If there's any messages or moments that I really, in particular, need to pay attention to right now with that.
We missed some of what you were saying. One moment, please.
I'm sorry. Can you hear
It's
me?
not your fault at all. One moment, we will be right back. Hello. Yeah, I'm working. Like, I live with this all the time, and there's the whole for like not. Why not? It's 1 hour. I can't do that. Can you just break for 20 minutes? Thank you. All right, could you please refresh us on this question?
Yes. So back to your opening message about living in our hearts and with our acting upon our passions. I've had a very long calling for many years, actually, to go to Egypt, and I have an opportunity coming up for a trip as such. However, what's stopping me right now is the pragmatic of financials, and I'm just curious if you have any advice or insights for me about how to discern that, and also if there might be any particular insights about Egypt that might be calling me that I need to be aware of or notice.
We would say allow yourself to be fully present in all of the experiences you're having, and know that with these big callings, when it is really time and you're absolutely ready, you will be able to manifest it and you will be able to step into it fully. It will flow seamlessly and there won't be doubts. Egypt calls to you for many different reasons.
Yes.
Part of it is memory from other lifetimes that will be activated in these different places. Part of it is the mystery of the power of the ancients and the wisdom that has been lost. And part of it is adventure, though also make sure that you cultivate a deeper level of stability and grounding, and understand that you will be stepping into an energy that is quite chaotic as much as it is mystical. And knowing to have your feet on the ground will help you from being swept up. And perhaps that is the energy that is being cultivated to get you ready for the right time and space to go.
Okay. We were reconnected, I think.
Did you miss anything?
Yes, I'm sorry. You were last thing I caught was that you said there's a mention of remembrance, and then after
Yes.
that, remember, or didn't hear. So sorry.
Remembrance from other lifetimes, remembrance of the mysteries, and a new awareness of the mysteries of how certain things were created and how the ancients practiced certain mystical and spiritual practices, as well as technological practices that your earth has forgotten. This mystery will open you up to wonder. It's also a practice of grounding, as the energies there are as chaotic as they will be mystical. And this is perhaps part of what you're still in the process of cultivating, is learning how to be more grounded so that you don't get swept up or triggered by the energies that are not as harmonic there. And you can be very selective with your focus to tune in to what is mystical and transcendent while tuning out of what is chaotic and disruptive.
Okay. May I have a follow-up question to that? This is so insightful and helpful. Is there anything that I should do in preparation to like read or research that would deepen my experience there? Or is it going and just being completely open and not having too much quote unquote background information in preparation?
Either way you wish to do it, if you feel called to learn about the mythology and learn about ancient Egypt before you go, it will help you to have more insight into the specific places. To do ground research on where to go and where not to go will be absolutely helpful. And to practice creating strong energetic boundaries so as to avoid and even ignore people who might be hassling you will also get you more prepared. Do know that it is a place where there will be many distractions and many people with intentions that don't really serve you. So be able to navigate and ignore invitations that are not calling to you.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Pleiadians. My unconditional love to you. Thank
To you
you.
as well, yes.
Okay, there's one more question, and I think then that's it for today. And the question is about that I've seen a lot of sort of men's circles and women's circles in terms of coaching and therapy and growing pop up. And if you could talk a little bit about what are the potential pros and cons about those, and what to be aware of, because it seems like at least some of the ones who are running those circles are sort of the ones who need the potential effects of them the most and sort of hide behind that. So can you talk about what is the potential power and traps about having circles like that?
These circles often offer the space for a need for togetherness. You are all beings who thrive on community and connections with others, and to be seen and held by your community is a deep need. And many do not know how to feel a sense of community on their own by creating the authentic connections in their lives. And for this reason, there is a huge market for all of these different circles. And it is simply a matter of knowing who is using such a circle to exploit others and who actually has the grounding to lead it. You have to ask yourself, what are the credentials that I want a space holder of such a circle to fulfill? And know that, yes, sometimes you'll find yourself in a space that doesn't resonate, and these experiences help you to learn and grow, and also have more discernment as to what works and what doesn't work for you. In terms of these facilitators, in general, we would say that facilitator ought to learn what creates a harmonic healing space, and also what the healing process is really like. To truly create a space where people can release energies that don't serve them, while also staying focused on that core energy of love. Create a place where that energy of transmutation is deep in effect, so that nobody takes on negative energies from others or gets triggered into a state of brooding by the ruminations that may be shared. Also, it is very important to create a definition of what it means to be a man or to be a woman that is inclusive and is not highlighting the domineering traits of your current society that strips women of their power and overpowers men with self-protective and aggressive tendencies that aren't necessarily reflective of the true essence of what it means to be a man. So the challenge is oftentimes the definition of a man or a woman gets distorted because you live in a world that highly distorts the concept of gender and the concept of being a good member of your society, regardless of what your gender is. Highlighting the importance of authenticity, transparency, integrity, and vulnerability in space holders and in spaces is the key to moving forward.
That is so profound. Thank you so much. Brilliant, brilliant answer. So
Thanks
I
to
think
all.
that's it for today. And thank you so much again for your help and guidance.
Well, we thank all of you for co-creating this interaction and guiding each other by tuning in deeply with yourselves and highlighting what is most important for your own evolution. For you are guiding yourselves and each other home, and we are happy to be that mirror reflection supporting you in remembering that Source is within all of you, and Source is within all things. And anytime you experience love, remember, that is Source's love. And the more that you highlight that love, the more you will powerfully be in the energy of transmutation. And transmutation is the aim, because in the incarnate physical realm, you never go beyond the polarity of good and bad and positive and negative. But you do allow these energies to come into a perpetual balance with the unconditional love of Source and with self-remembrance. And when you tune into this energy, it never disrupts you when something negative arises. You instantly return into that flow. You instantly return into that love. You don't do it in a forgetting way, in a way that erases positive and negative energies, but you do it in a holistic way that includes everything and allows for all experiences to arise in the container of consciousness, in the container of the Source that you are. Our unconditional love to all of you, and wish you a fantastic rest of your days.
Thank you, Dante. Oh, incredible.
Thank
Oh my
you.
God.
Beautiful, beautiful transmission. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for being here, everybody. Really lovely to co-create this day, and this I think was a great transmission that really reflects what I am hoping to transform these containers into with the changes that are taking place. So if you want to join the next transmission, stay tuned to the email list on dantestarshine.com. when we'll announce when they will be. There's the poll on the community tab on YouTube that asks, which day of the week do you want these transmissions to take place on? Let us know with the poll and with your comments, and we will adjust and maybe move it around a bit, and always keep announcing when it will be. And you can stay tuned and send an email and donation to get the link to join the Zoom, and always type your questions out in the YouTube chat, or send me the questions in advance. And if there's some really good questions that we feel are totally in alignment with what the Pleiadian Council are going to be sharing that week, we will include them too. I'm available for sessions, and the channeling course is open. Those are all my announcements. But how's everybody here in Zoom feeling? Does anybody feel like sharing or reflecting anything?
Yeah. You know, honestly, I've said to you twice before that you absolutely knocked it out of the park. This is the third one, and I think it's the best one yet, honestly. I mean, there's so much to unpack, and so much direct. Like, wow, I'm really, really blown away.
Thank
Don,
you.
thank you for beginning to host again. And I'm sorry for my late entry, and I PayPal'd you for the session, so I appreciate you just letting me kind of jump in last minute. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really happy to get them going again. I only stopped because I was out in meditation.
Good. How was your meditation retreat?
Really powerful. It was really triggering at times. For a lot of different reasons. There's a little bit too many lectures within the meditation retreat. I thought it was going to be more like just meditating, but then even though, despite that, it's like it's still 4 or 5 hours of meditation a day, and then a yoga class too. And going really deep and learning how to just amplify that, essentially source connection, and it brought me to be like way more relaxed and shed many layers. And I'm really grateful. Yeah, I think I needed some time to just be quiet. And it's kind of a lot to deal with the technology all the time and the people all the time. We all need to break sometimes.
Good. I'm so glad you did that for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad you did that too.
Yeah, thank you. How is India, Carol? Or are you still there?
Yeah, I came back. Incredible. It was a yoga workshop, a pranayama workshop. So it was pretty, still feel like I'm still integrating a lot that happened. And I might actually go back for another workshop that kind of arose. I mean, talking about, this session was perfect theme because it's really making me go back and really think, okay, do I really, this is arising, and do I go and just continue with another workshop? So yeah, this yeah.
I find it, Dante, I find it really interesting what you just mentioned about your experience, is that if there's any synchronicity with what I perceived as being a new point that they made, the whole thing about feeling love, that it's a love for source and it's other people who are mirror to it. I'm like, sorry, but holy fucking shit. I mean, that's a game changer. I mean, I had goosebumps when they mentioned that, and when I started to think and sort of track back, it's like, hell yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I never heard anybody say it like that. So that I'm really looking forward to listening back to that again and think more about it.
Yeah, it all came together really synchronistically to keep bringing that message back. If all is one, all is source, and all of the love we experience is source. So
yeah,
really
and also the thing about not being dependent on one thing, one mirror of the source, but there's different ones, and they have different aspects of source. Obviously, which we all are one. Different aspects of source. I mean, that's just wow. That's so powerful.
Yeah, from the nuclear family to relationships and everything, we are like drilled home with the point that life just has to be this way, and love comes this way into our world, and we all work this kind of a job, and all these weird concepts that it has to be this way, and we start to take it for granted that we can experience love and abundance and gratitude in a number of different ways. Yeah, it's important to open our eyes to what's out there and realize that so many people in this world do it way differently, and even other cultures do things way differently. And also considering the collective of time, that it's only recently that some of these ideas became so commonplace. And I think in our world in the past, we were much more oriented towards sourcing energy and connection from community than we were from one very tight family or couple.
And it's interesting because one of the songs that I'm working on right now is sort of directly trying to pace something that's already been there and sort of the traditional ways of looking at things, and then expanding it into a wider view of love. Where I thought the other day, like, fuck, if I can seriously nail that down, I mean, coming from a sort of, popular culture perspective, that can be really, really interesting what that can do. And then, of course, in connection with what you do and stuff. Wow, so exciting.
Super exciting. Super excitement all around.
Yeah, I definitely felt like all the different themes that came up, especially when you're talking about a transmutation vortex, it's all just super in alignment with all the messages that have been coming through lately about healing these things, healing these wounds around relating with each other or with different groups or different family members or relationships, and recognizing the all in each other. It's just so timely and resonant with a lot of other things going on my spiritual and shamanic path as well. And so I just take that as another, could you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just take that as another sign that, like, yes, this is the work that needs to be doing right now,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Transmutation, transformation, remembering that we have that power to heal. And I think sometimes healing gets turned into something way more complex than it is because our lives are so complex. Though the more and more I've done all the modalities and all the things in so many countries, and it just comes down to that simple centeredness in the heart being paramount to any of the techniques working, and sometimes taking away the technique and coming back to that centeredness in the heart is enough, because the heart has the power itself to transmute. The heart is that source center. And interestingly, like astrologically, the Chiron North Node conjunction, I think, makes this time, like February and weeks leading up to it, is so important about like restoring our creative power and our self power, Aries power. So returning to that sense of like self beyond our wounds, like we're really empowered to do it at this time.
Yeah, that completely resonates. Definitely. This is the time to do it.
Did you guys hear me talking to my neighbor for a moment?
Yes.
It's just a little bit.
It was broken up.
We couldn't hear exactly what you said.
It was
Okay.
very
Information. There's too much noise here. It's like every single day, and it's like this is the first time I've ever said, "Okay, this has to stop."
Are you in Mexico still? Are you in
Yeah.
Mexico?
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Like, something I've said since the beginning of the year is that this is also a year of boundaries, which are a big part of self-love and love in general. And like saying no to things, like a year of like claiming the no in a really self-empowering way.
Yeah, because a lot of times if you say no to the right thing, that means you're saying yes to a lot of other things.
Exactly. Yeah.
like
which can help with if
Sure.
it's difficult for somebody to say no to something, is having that realization that, well, if you say no to that, that means that you say, not only you say yes to a lot of things, it means that other people gets to say yes to a lot of other things, and expansion is all over the place.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah.
we only have so much time. Like that was a big thing I realized before, is like I thought I could do everything, so I would say yes to everything, and then I'd run out of time or energy. So it's like our no's are so important so that we can say yes to the things that really matter, because if we say yes to everything, unfortunately we do run out of time.
Yeah,
And sometimes
absolutely.
honoring the
So
commitment
true.
is the
So
great-
true.
I mean, I was in a mentoring program with a very, very interesting billionaire guy from the US. And I would say the best thing I got from him is he said, the most important word in the universe is no. And he was as unspiritual as you can possibly get. But his point was valid, is that the more you say no to the wrong things, the more the right things is available. Which is also a very spiritual thing, even though he wasn't.
All right, everybody. Yeah, I think that's good summing up point. But thanks so much for joining. Thanks for being here.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
thanks for being back,
Dante.
Dante.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Amazing
Thank you,
stuff.
everyone.
And thanks for your questions. They were absolutely fantastic. Great
Yes.
energy, and you really added value to the whole thing.
Yeah, I
Thank
came to
Yes.
catch you next time. And
Okay.
until then,
Bye.
much love. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.